Wicker is thin branches or vines flexible enough to be woven. Many plants can be used for wicker, such as willow and rattan. Quality wicker is very durable. You can find antique wicker furniture that's as sturdy today as in its heyday. The oldest piece of wicker on record dates back to 1400 BC. Archaeologists discovered it in Egypt, where in ancient times people used wicker chairs. Hand-woven wicker furniture was the rage in Europe and North America in the 1800s. To meet this demand, trade schools churned out master wicker weavers. But by the 1930s, manufacturers developed a paper fiber to mimic the look of wicker and large mechanized looms to do the weaving. Today's genuine wicker items are usually made of rattan core, rattan palm tree branches stripped of their bark, then processed into different diameters and profiles. At this workshop, they use a manual loom to weave wicker hampers. Taking what's known as flat oval rattan core, flat on one side, rounded on the other, they run horizontal strands through vertical strands in an under and over pattern, working between the hamper's wooden frame and its fiberboard lining. They keep the vertical strands taut by tying them to weighted ropes. It's important to keep moistening the rattan with hot water to keep it supple enough to manipulate. They weave one thin round strand after every 13-centimeter high section of flat oval. There's no structural reason for this pattern, it's purely aesthetic. A wicker wastebasket begins with a base that dictates the shape. They insert vertical stakes of round rattan core along its perimeter. Then below the base, bend each stake over the next, then under the one after that. This forms what's called the foot border, a bottom rim that holds the base securely in place. Now they insert a wooden form and begin weaving. First, a small section of round rows, then a large section of flat oval ones. Slowly and patiently, they work their way to the top, never resorting to glue or staples to hold the strands together. Only a hook to compress the rows for a neat and tight weave. Every so often, they use pliers to tear off a stray fiber. Now for the finishing touch. They braid what's left of the vertical stakes into a decorative top rim. This particular braiding technique is very complex, requiring all 10 fingers and a special tool to pry stubborn strands apart. They snip off the excess with a cutter. When they're finished, they remove the modular wooden form. Its components are numbered so they'll know how to reassemble them for the next basket. Another more decorative way to finish the top of a basket is this arch technique. They trim each vertical stake, bend it into an arch, then tuck it into the basket 3 stakes over. This measuring tool ensures the arches are of equal height, while this metal device creates a space into which to tuck each stake. Wicker weavers create magnificent designs by combining various shapes and sizes of rattan. A strand can be as thick as a pencil or as thin as a needle. While this doesn't quite fall under the category of wicker, it's not uncommon to see wicker workshops use other natural materials. Here, they're weaving a chair seat out of cord made from seagrass. There's also wicker seating material. This pre-woven sheet is called cane seating or rattan peel. It's made from the bark stripped off the rattan branch. First, they force it into a groove in the chair's wooden frame. Then they glue in what's called spline, a strip of rattan core with a pointed edge. They wedge that edge into the groove, hammering it down to hold the rattan peel in place. Then they trim off the excess. Because wicker is wood, it can be stained or painted, or left its natural color. Whatever the finish, they give it 2 or 3 coats of varnish for protection.